Today I'm going to show you how to create a discussion board forum. We'll begin by clicking on the discussion board tab. And here you'll see your discussion board window opens, and I have no discussion board forum started yet. To create a discussion board forum, simply click on Create Forum. And your screen will open to a place where you need to input some information. For example, you need a title for your forum. So we'll call this one Online Learners. Here you have a text box where you can add your discussion question or any instructions you have for this assignment. And I'm just going to type in a sample here. What are your thoughts about online learners? You can edit your text just like you would in a word processing program. You can also add video, you can add an attachment, you can add images here. Everything that you would do in an word processing program you can do here. Now you have some options for your forum. You can make it available, or you can say no, not available, if you want to hide it until a time when you're ready to turn the forum on or display the forum. You can enter dates here. If you say you want it to start like on a certain day and stop on a certain date, you could do that as well. Keep in mind, if you click this date, display after date, you should also have a display until date. For some reason it will break midway, or it'll give you problems if you don't do both. But we're going to say we want it to be available. Then you have some form setting options here. Standard view. Now, one of the new options in Blackboard 9.1 is to have participants post their own thread to the forum before they can see others. This is particularly helpful if you've given some kind of assigned reading and you don't want students to go through and read everyone else's and then reply. So this is helpful in that case. I'm going to leave it as standard view. I want to grade this forum, so I'm going to click on Grade Discussion Forum and set the point value to 10 points. And here, this option shows that you want to see their assignment or their post in the Grade Center after every 1 or 2 posts. Typically, I have my students post their own thread and then reply to another person's thread. And sometimes I have them reply to 2. So I'll set my needs grading status to show up depending on the number of replies I want them to post. So I want them to post here their own thread and then reply to one other. So after every 2 posts, I will see a needs grading notification in the Grade Center. You can assign due dates here. And even if you do decide to assign a due date, students typically can post after the due date, but it will warn you. It'll give you a notification that they've posted beyond the due date. You can add a rubric here. I think Blackboard has some standard rubrics for posting, maybe. You can say you don't want to allow subscriptions to the forum. You can allow members to subscribe to threads or to the entire forum. And what this means is if they subscribe to it, they'll get an email notification when someone posts something new to the forum or to a particular thread they subscribe to. And your next option asks you, do you want the student to receive the whole post in the email or just a link to the post? We typically don't allow students to post anonymously. Some teachers, for various reasons, will allow students to do so, but we won't allow students to post an anonymous post here. The next option is to allow an author to delete his own post. I usually do not allow this, but I will allow students to edit their own published post, because I myself, when I post something or when I send a text, I always notice my mistakes after the fact. So this will allow a student to go in and change some things that they see wrong with their posting. You need to allow students to create new threads. This is the default here. These are always on. You might take off allow file attachments if there's no need for them to post an attachment, but it defaults to allow. And then allow users to respond with a quote. If you decide to do forced moderation of quotes, that will cause you some more work here, because every time a student posts, it will not show in the forum until you go and release it. You'll have to go to the moderation tab and release it. You'll read it and release it. And this might be necessary in some cases if you're having students discuss touchy subjects or something like that. But most of the time you're going to leave this blank. You could allow post tagging and post rating here. Sometimes I allow this, especially if the topics are of interest to students. When you're done with all this, you're going to click Submit. And you'll see here the forum has been posted. So the title of the forum is Online Learners, and then what are your thoughts about online learning? I have no post. Here, say you have 30 kids in the class, you can watch this number as students start posting. You might read a few here and a few there, and this will show you the posts you haven't read. Suppose you decide that you want to change your description or your question. If you click here on the arrow, the drop down arrow, you can go and edit your post or your forum. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to load. So here you see I have access to all of the forum settings, and I can change anything that I want to change there. So you click Submit when you're done, and that's how you create a forum. Now, for a student to post to this forum, they simply click on the forum, and then they would choose Create Thread. Or if you wanted to post to this forum before your students do, sometimes I do that because it helps students, it kind of breaks the ice and gets the forum rolling. You would create thread, and then you'll post your subject to your message there, and much like you just posted the forum itself, and then you would click Submit. You can grade all of the forums at once by clicking on this. We don't have any to grade. I'm going to click and see if it shows anything. Nope. Or you could go to the discussion grade center and grade them. That's where I prefer to grade them, because here you'll see in the grade center needs grading. Once students have posted their number of threads that you've required and you click this, it'll show up here and you can grade those all at once. So I like that. I prefer that method of grading. Now I want to go back to my content area, and I'm going to show you how to link. Let's say I want my discussion board to show up in this week's activities. Actually, let me go back. I want it to be in week 3. So I'm going to go back to content. I'm going to go to week 1. Week 3 activities. You can see I'm still working on that. So I want to build content or build assessment. You can see all of this here. You see under tools I have discussion board. So I want to link this as an assignment here. So there it'll show you all the subjects that are in your discussion board page. You can select the forum or select the page. So I only have one, so I think that's why it won't let me select all of the individual one. Or I could create a new forum here. Just like I showed you how to create one, I could create it here as well. So I'm going to select that. And at this point, I could change the color of my assignment title. I could give instructions here, and I might say respond I always tell my students what the point value is here. And then I make it available. You might want to track number of views if you have a need to keep track of the data. Date restrictions, sometimes you'll do that if you have a specific time that you want it done. And then you'll see here, under my assignments, I have discussion board. If I click it as a student, I'll go straight there. And that, if you turn your edit mode off, you'll see this is what a student will see. Content. Yep, wrong one. Content week 1. And this is what the student sees when he or she gets into this content folder. And again, it links the student straight to the discussion board. So I've created a discussion board, and I've created a link to this discussion board under the content tab.